It's the ultimate sanction when the state of Texas seeks to put someone to death.
Otis McKane Jr. is a step closer to going to trial.
The district attorney will seek the death penalty.
Otis Tyrone McKane.
Otis McKane. The man accused of killing San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi.
The police are saying you confessed to this.
The motive for the capital murder is still unknown.
I'm just trying to get at what your side of the story is.
If anybody in this area know who Otis McKane is, you know I don't have this in my bones.
It is a death penalty case almost 4 years in the making. Otis McKane is accused of killing veteran San Antonio Police Detective Ben Marconi right here in front of Public Safety Headquarters. The story includes a 30-hour manhunt, multiple confessions, even allegations of identity theft. I'm Paul Venema. We call this The Backstory.
Tragedy hits home. A San Antonio police officer gunned down while on duty, sitting inside his patrol car.
It happened just feet from public safety headquarters. Now officers on the hunt for the man who killed one of their brothers in blue.
It was late on a Sunday morning, November 20th, 2016. Detective Benjamin Marconi was writing a traffic ticket inside his patrol car right outside San Antonio Police Headquarters. That's when, at the time, an unknown man parked behind him on Santa Rosa Avenue. Police said the man walked up to the driver's side window and fired one shot, hitting Detective Marconi in the head. He then fired another shot through the window, hitting Marconi in the head a second time.
I've got an officer down in front of headquarters.
Police said the shooter drove off through the SAPD parking lot, headed west in a black Mitsubishi. Marconi was rushed to San Antonio Military Medical Center, where he died at 12:22.
Most families will be celebrating the holidays. SAPD will be burying one of its own because of an ultimate act of cowardice by a suspect who will be caught and brought to justice.
Now, these are pictures taken of the suspect's vehicle that police released earlier today, including a few minutes ago. It's a black car with tinted windows and chrome rims. The suspect, described as somewhere between 5'7" and 6 feet tall. He was described as wearing a dark shirt and baggy, dark-colored pants, and he may have had a goatee. Chief McManus described the suspect as extremely dangerous to both the public and law enforcement and urged anyone with information to call 911.
Within hours of the shooting, police put out a description of the shooter and offered a $5,000 reward to help find him. They put a sketch together after seeing surveillance video, which showed a man hours before walking into the front lobby of police headquarters. The story made headlines across the country.
A manhunt is currently underway in Texas for a cop killer. Authorities believe this man is responsible for the death of a San Antonio police officer.
Surveillance video of the suspect released today of this man seen walking into the station, police say hours before the attack.
In San Antonio, there is a manhunt underway this morning for the cop killer who ambushed and then gunned down a veteran detective while he was writing a traffic ticket.
And this morning, the department is working with the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, the Texas Rangers, and others to find the detective's killer.
The manhunt lasted a total of just 30 hours. Police say within that time, McCain managed to get married.
The next morning, Monday, 9:57 a.m., McCain gets a license from the Bexar County Courthouse to marry Christian Chanel Fields. The couple gets a judge to sign a waiver allowing them to marry the same day.
According to the arrest warrant, about half an hour later, an SAPD officer spots a car matching the description of the shooter outside Otis McKane's home in the 1200 block of Lombrano.
Car rims and tires helped lead police to McKane.
The warrant says around the same time, an employee at a West Side tire rental shop called police. He said he recognized the suspect because he recently bought tires for a Mitsubishi Galant. Hours later, a witness to the shooting picks McCain out of a photo lineup.
About 1 hour ago, We made an arrest in the capital murder of Detective Benjamin Marconi. We arrested 31-year-old Otis Tyrone McKane.
In the last 3 hours of their search, police knew who they were after and kept tabs on Otis McKane's every move.
This is the person whose image we saw on surveillance. This is also the person we believe is responsible for the cold and calculated murder of Detective Marconi.
After leaving a northeast side Church's Chicken, the San Antonio SWAT team moved in on McKane. He was in a white car with a woman and a 2-year-old child. Police detonated what they call a distraction device to get him into custody. All of this unfolding off Farm Road 1516 and I-10.
This has all been unfolding throughout the last 30 hours, and we're relieved to have taken him into custody without a further loss of life. This investigation is by no means over. The motive for the capital murder is still unknown.
Chief, what are the emotions that you're going through right now?
Relief, a lot of relief. Everyone is relieved. I don't think anyone slept last night, and I think everyone's looking forward to a good night's sleep tonight, but it was relief.
Breaking news out of Texas involving the ambush murder of Detective Benjamin Marconi. Police say a suspect has been arrested after a 30-hour manhunt.
Investigators here saying that it was several leads that took him directly to Otis Tyrone McKane. He's a 31-year-old San Antonio man. Well, he seemed apologetic as he was led by officers.
We got our first look at McKane when he was walked in handcuffs from SAPD headquarters, where this all began, to be booked behind bars.
Otis McKane faced reporters as he was being led to the courthouse last night, and he actually spoke to those reporters.
He had words of remorse and a still unthinkable explanation for the cameras.
What were you upset about, sir?
Society not letting me see my son. I lashed out at somebody that didn't deserve it.
Did you know Officer Marconi?
No, sir.
What were you doing down here on Sunday? What was his fault that you wouldn't want to see his son?
It simply makes no sense. If he wants to see his child, now he's never going to happen.
It would later come out during a bond hearing that perp walk wasn't the only time McKane had something to say. Escorting officers say he told them a different story.
He started making statements, which was, glad that I shot him. You can't judge me. Says I felt good to do what I did, and I finally got somebody to listen.
In a video confession 2 days after the murder, McKane reportedly told the lead detective in the case that he just wanted the police department to feel the burn that he had in his heart.
You see an arm reach in and a firearm's put to the back of his head, and he's shot in the back of the head, and then he just stays there.
He confessed to the crime. But later, during an interview with KSAT 12's Katrina Weber, he denied everything, even said this was a case of mistaken identity.
I'm doing okay besides the fact that people think I killed a police officer.
Like most people in San Antonio, we'd hoped for some answers.
You said that people think you killed a police officer. You didn't kill him?
I ain't gonna lie, man, we're gonna have a difficult time communicating if we just talk about this case, because that wasn't why I wanted to talk to you guys. Okay. I wanted to talk to you guys because I feel like it's a lot of things that occurred before this situation that led to this situation that has nothing to do with me at all.
Okay.
But McKane wasn't looking to talk about what happened that morning.
There's video that we've been given that shows a man going up to the door and talking in the box and then going inside the lobby. Is that you in that video?
Ma'am, first of all, I refuse to put myself in any situation or scene given the situation I'm in. I'm not gonna give you any answer about anything that had to do with what happened that day.
Okay. Well, what about, let's talk about the past then, because you said there's some things leading up. Did you have problems with the police before? Did you have run-ins with the police?
McKane said he's had years of trouble with police.
First of all, in 2006, I went to court for traffic tickets that wasn't even mine.
Traffic tickets, a family violence arrest, and false accusations in an HEB robbery all led McKane to think that someone had been impersonating him. He detailed 4 run-ins with the law dating back to 2006 that he says all happened after losing his ID.
How does all of that from 2006 and 12 figure into why we're here today?
Because I've been falsely accused, or they accused me of a situation that I refuse to talk about.
That's now?
Yes, that's the why I'm in here today.
Why did you say that then to the reporters that morning after you were arrested? You said that it had to do with the child custody case. That's why you were upset. You told us that you were upset because of the child custody case, and that's why you shot this police officer, even though he had nothing to do with it.
I really don't want to talk about that, but I feel like my words was misconstrued and misused. I feel like my whole life people demonized my character to make me a certain way.
In his attempt to clear his name, McKane said that he went to Fox Tech High School, excelled in sports, and went to college.
I love this city, every person in this city. If anybody in this city know who Otis McKane is, you know I don't have this in my bone.
The only thing McKane said that matched his statement days before was frustration over child custody.
So I lost already by going through the legal system to see my son, because even though I work every day and pay child support, I pay child support and work every day. And I've been to court to see my son. I have documentations to see my son. I called the police to assist me to pick up my son. These people will not let me see my son even though the police is in our face. Why is this? I'll give my last breath and particle and working Fahrenheit to this city. And I still are not able to see my son in the last 2 years with legal documents. And I'm working. And people falsely accuse me of different situations to lead up to this situation. I don't have nothing else to say to the cameraman.
Now the latest, a grand jury indicting the man accused of killing San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi. That means 31-year-old Otis McKane Jr. is officially facing a charge of capital murder. Our Katrina Weber is live at Public Safety Headquarters.
It's a sign that Otis McKane Jr. is a step closer to going to trial.
A major development in the case of murdered San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi.
District Attorney Nico LaHood confirming to our defenders late this afternoon that he will seek the death penalty against Marconi's accused killer.
Otis McKane is facing capital murder charges and either a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or execution.
LaHood opened up about his decision to ultimately file the motion to go after the death penalty.
What I wanted to make sure that we didn't do is react to any highly emotional situation. Obviously, this impacted our community, and respond appropriately. We handled every potential death penalty case the same way. I've set up a process, and I wanted to make sure that I went through that process and not rush to judgment.
McKane has been in jail since his arrest in November 2016. His trial was scheduled to start at the end of February, but with this now being a death penalty case, that date, in all likelihood, will be pushed back several months, if not a year or more.
In 2019, while McKane waited for a new trial, a new district attorney, Joe Gonzalez, was elected. He said he would only seek the death penalty in cases that he considered the worst of the worst. The McKane case, he said, fits that criteria.
All right, I am rolling.
Well, from a defense attorney's perspective, what are the challenges, that's a broad question, of involving trying a death penalty case?
Well, of course you realize it's the ultimate sanction when the state of Texas seeks to put someone to death.
Defense attorney Paul Goki has personal experience. He was the defense attorney in the trial of Mark Anthony Gonzalez. Gonzalez was given the death penalty for the 2011 ambush-style slaying of Sheriff's Deputy Kenneth Van.
Capital murder case has a lot of moving parts.
Well, they're the most complex criminal cases that we deal with. I've prosecuted them, I've defended them, and then as a judge, by virtue of the time I've been on the bench, I've probably presided over more death penalty cases statewide than any other judge by my calculations at some point.
Both prosecutors and defense attorneys are in the process of reviewing questionnaires completed by 200 potential jurors.
Jury selection is unique.
Both the state and the defense team have identical definitions of what they're looking for in a juror.
Just someone that can be open-minded, that can really be open-minded and doesn't have extreme views on either end.
I mean, before you ever start talking to that juror, you know their feelings about the death penalty. It is a hard-fought process by the lawyers because they have a limited amount of strikes that they can utilize. So if they have somebody they don't like, they go after them big time to try to get them removed for cause. So the voir dire jury selection process takes a long time.
The next step, the lawyers and McKane will meet here with individual prospective jurors to review their questionnaire.
They give you an insight into the thoughts and views of the panel members before they come to court.
The stakes here are as high as they get since prosecutors are seeking the death penalty.
There's a lot at stake here, namely
Oh, sure.
somebody's life.
You know, it's literally a life or death situation. In this day and age, with exonerations, with recantations, with DNA showing that folks didn't do something after the fact, judges and prosecutors and defense lawyers are extremely careful in this process.
Their job as a juror could be complex. If they convict McKane, they'll have to consider two special issues.
The special issues are very technical, and you really have to explain it to them.
Those issues are, is the defendant a future danger to society? And are there any mitigating circumstances that dictate that the death penalty not be enforced? If the answer to each question is no, the sentence is execution. If one question is answered yes, it's life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Everyone involved appreciates the fact that this is the ultimate penalty. There's no going back from that if the sentence is executed and the defendant is executed. And so it gets the kind of attention that you would expect it would get, and that's time.
Ben Marconi's family still waits for justice and for closure. Waiting is the norm in death penalty cases, this year complicated by the pandemic. The McKane case, one of several high-profile cases here in San Antonio this year, will likely not be resolved until next year. I'm Paul Venema, and this is The Backstory.